All right, let's get right into it. Today, we're talking about NATO. You know, the alliance that's been the bedrock of Western security for over 70 years. But right now, it's facing a massive crisis, and it's not coming from some outside enemy. Nope, it's coming from its most powerful member. We're talking about Donald Trump's war on NATO.
So let me ask you a question. When you think about threats to NATO, what comes to mind? Probably Russia, right? Or maybe China. But here's the thing. The biggest, most serious crisis the alliance is facing right now isn't coming from the outside at all. So where on earth is it coming from?
The answer, and this is pretty stunning, is Washington. With a potential return to the White House, Donald Trump has basically turned the world's strongest military alliance into one of his main targets.
Okay, so let's really unpack that. For decades, the very idea of an American president treating NATO like an enemy would have been completely unthinkable. But that's exactly what's happening. We're watching a crisis unfold that's coming from the very top, from the leader of the alliance itself.
And this really gets us to what you could call Trump's personal war on NATO. This isn't just some new policy idea he's floating. It's a grudge that's been building and getting more and more intense for years now.
You can actually see how his stance has escalated. During his first term, his words were definitely disruptive. He called NATO obsolete, and he was constantly accusing European allies of freeloading off of America's military. But now the language has changed from just criticism to a direct public threat.
And this threat, it's not just talk. It strikes right at the heart of NATO's core principle, Article 5, the whole an attack on one is an attack on all idea. For the European allies, hearing a potential U.S. president say that American protection depends on money, well, that's pretty much a disaster scenario.
Which, of course, raises a huge question. What does this all mean for Europe? The entire strength of the alliance has always relied on American leadership and its incredible military power. This puts all the other members in a really, really tough spot.
And let's be clear, the stakes couldn't be higher. A NATO without the U.S. is frankly a paper tiger. It's the U.S. that provides the nuclear umbrella. That's the ultimate security guarantee. It's the U.S. that has the top-tier satellite and signals intelligence. And it's the U.S. that brings the high-tech weapons that no single European country, or even all of them combined, can just whip up overnight.
So you can bet that leaders in Berlin, Paris, and Warsaw are scrambling. They're pushing hard for more defense spending all across the continent. But it goes beyond that. They're now looking at totally new ideas, like smaller security groups, and even bringing back the old idea of a unified European army. They're desperately trying to come up with a plan B.
Now, whenever you see a major shakeup in the global order like this, you have to ask yourself, who actually benefits from all this chaos? A weakened NATO creates this huge power vacuum, and there are a couple of global powers that are just ready and waiting to jump in.
The first and most obvious winner here is Russia. For decades, Vladimir Putin's #1 goal has been to divide and weaken NATO. Well, Trump's words are doing that job better than any propaganda or military move Moscow could have ever dreamed up. An alliance that's fighting with itself is exactly what the Kremlin wants.
And the other big winner? China. Think about it. A Western world that's bogged down arguing over its own security is a lot less likely to stand together to counter Beijing's growing influence around the globe. This division gives China a much clearer runway to chase its own strategic goals. So when you put all of this together, we're at a massive turning point. And this isn't just about the alliance itself. It's about the entire international system that was built after World War II, a system that has relied on American leadership and its security guarantees.
The shift is it's stark. For generations, supporting NATO was a sacred thing in American politics, something both parties agreed on. It was the cornerstone of security for both the U.S. and Europe. That whole assumption, it's been shattered. Trump has completely reframed the relationship, treating the alliance almost like it's an adversary.
So that leaves us with this huge question. Is the alliance really about to collapse? Or is this all just an extreme version of political hardball to force Europe to finally pay more for its own defense? Whatever the answer is, one thing is absolutely certain. For the first time in its long history, NATO's biggest crisis isn't happening on some distant battlefield. It's coming straight from the Oval Office.